Hey everyone, it's Cryptix, and today we're going to be exploring the manifestation side of my channel. This video is going to be over the sea of reality. If I could write. Okay. Basically, my idea of the sea of reality replaces the old mirror analogy, where its reality is a mirror, which I think is wrong. Because the reality is a mirror analogy does have some truths, but it's overall lacking in explaining certain events. So say reality was an exact mirror. You have your little mirror and you're standing in front of it. Right? Anything you put in to the mirror reflects back out into your 3D. What you think, brain, turns into the physical. So, I don't know, say I wanted a car, I thought about a car a lot, and how I wanted a car, and now how I have a car, and all that, and you manifest it, whatever happens here, that we don't really know, which is what I'm trying to explain, and you have a car. Which seems to make sense. I mean, we know manifestation works, we know what we think, eventually, somehow, turns to this. But this little straightforward line just doesn't make sense. So, say it was truly a mirror. What it doesn't explain is that you would be responsible for every single bad event, because you would have to think of this bad event first for it to happen. You could never be proven wrong, because say I believed, say the moon is actually cheese. Say I believe the moon is cheese, or I don't know, something else crazy. If I fully believe that, and that's all I knew, that's all that would get reflected by the moon, would actually be cheese. But it's not. And plans can never go sideways, because if you never even thought about different ways it could go wrong, it would never go wrong. And I feel like this analogy for the mirror is just a little too simplistic for what really happens behind manifestation. And it just kind of dumbs it down to a point that's unnecessary. So we're going to clear that. Then we're going to go on my idea, which is the sea. And my idea with the sea is that you are in a little boat, and you have your little sail. Your sail is your mind. I know it's really bad, but whatever. You're on the boat, and you have some oars on your boat. And your oars are what you do in the 3D. So, say I want a job, and I got a job application. That would be your oars. Versus, say I wanted a job, and I thought about my dream job, and eventually I got to there. Eventually I got to my destination. That would be your brain, your 3D. The sail. Now with the sail is pretty easy to use. You can go really, really long distances with the sail. The oar is still pretty good. It has its advantages and super quick, short motions that get you where you need to be right then and there. Like if I wanted a cupcake, why would I manifest I wanted a cupcake? I would just go up and grab one or something like that. And some people get through life just by oaring their way through. They just take their oar and they power through it, and great for them. But you, since you know about manifestation, or I'm assuming you do, since you're on this video, or you're gonna at least learn about it, you have this sail, and this is kind of an easier way to do it. It still requires effort to set up and maintain, but it gets you pretty far. And also with your oar, you can get tired, and who knows what else. So the sail is just easier, and to just go the manifestation route and not work against yourself. You never want to use your sail the opposite way, but some people do it anyways. And on the sea, you're in the sea of reality. On the sea, fuck, I don't know how to draw that. Sea has some stormy parts, and some nice parts. Nice parts where you probably want to be at, which is kind of the point of manifesting. Now, when you're traveling on the sea, I don't know how to draw this shit. When traveling on the sea, you're going to come across these parts. It's just the current of the water. And the current, I didn't really explain the current. Current is just how life would go if you had no brain and no physical action. If you were to sit there like a plant, what would the world do? That is the sea. And that carries your boat along. And you can't stick around in one place, as the water flow will make you drift away. Which is why, like with the mirror analogy, you can never grow old, because you would never know what it was like to grow old if everything you put in the mirror reflected back. With this, the sea carries you along. You can't stay stuck, per se, in one place, in like a broader sense. Hold on. And the thing is, though, I see a lot of this with manifestation, like people asking for help and stuff, is that a lot of people start manifesting when they're in the storm. I think this is a really bad idea to start manifesting. This is a really bad time to start manifesting. And I feel like a lot of people start during the storm and they get really discouraged. And yeah, sometimes we get caught in the storms and we don't always notice the storms approaching us, and we just end up in them. And this part of the analogy deals with 3D action, and while manifesting, why checking signs constantly is really bad for you, or results. Now, in the storm, there's wind. There's lots of wind, and it's kind of crazy because you're super anxious about whatever, and you're panicking. You're panicking because you don't want your boat to sink. Your boat is kind of like you. It's kind of like your body, bro. And now some people set up their sails. Some people are like, okay, what? Say their oars are broken. Say in their position, their oars are broken. They can't do something. Like, say they need money for something. They don't have money for it, so their oars are broken. They cannot take 3D action. Is just off limits for them. So they set up their sails because that's what they got left. And the issue, though, with setting up the sails, and say they can't row, is that the wind from the storms will take longer to, like, wait out. And it would just be easier to use your sails. And a lot of people know this because you're like, yeah, I can fix problem if I had money. But the issue is that when you set up your sail in this type of stressful situation, what do? Since it's your one last, like, hope. People set up their sails, and then they take them down. And why do they take them down? Why do they take them down? Take them down to check on them. They take them down to check on their progress. Because they're worried they may have a rip in it. Maybe there's a rip. Maybe it's not effective. Maybe it's not working. Why isn't it working? Maybe they have to fix the sail. Is something wrong with the sail? And this is like the spiraling you hear about manifestation, where you keep essentially looking at your sail, and if the sail is down, how are you going to go anywhere? If you don't have an oar, you don't have a sail now because you're looking at it, and you keep putting it back up, but you don't even let it sail. You put it back down again to check on it, and it just will never collect enough wind because it's down here. It's literally down here. So you're going to be stuck in that storm for a lot longer than you have to be because you don't have your oars, and now you don't have a sail because you're looking at the sail. You're not using the sail. It's essentially not non-use. And this is like the whole idea of like checking the 3D for movement, or like letting the 4D stay constant its direction, or like you're not allowing the 4D to make significant change because you're always looking at the 3D and you're like, why is my sail not working? And then some people like people don't know about manifestation, or people are just really anxious about things, they have their sales backwards into the storm, right into the storm. And I mean, they could be rowing out. But this is not helping. This is like not helpful at all. And you can just have your sail down if you have like no conceptions. You're just like, this doesn't do it. If you're like neutral, then I mean, this won't affect you. This isn't like something you have to be like fully worried about. But it's not helpful. But the wind is also blowing wildly, and if you don't control your sail at all, if you're not taking down or controlling, it's just gonna kind of blow with the wind. So you really don't have to worry about that if you're not like constantly manifesting. You're like, oh my god, what if I'm doing this wrong? It's really no big deal. It's people who are like forcing the sail to go one way, but then they keep moving it. Then you just keep going where the storm would normally have you go. So for this situation, you just kind of have to wait for the storm to pass naturally. I know like nobody wants to hear that. Because for a lot of people, manifestation is like their last hope. But I don't think the sail should be used for the storm. The oars, possible, should be used for the storm, or you just have to wait it out or really hope for a miracle. Like, you have to hope for that one gust of wind. Instead, manifestation should be used when you can. It should be used as preventative measures. When you're in the sun, you should be like you should be trying to look at the storms. You should be out here looking for the clouds in the distance and rowing or sailing against them, because that's where manifestation has its strong suits. Otherwise, because the sail takes a little bit longer to work, it has to take wind, it's slower, but it takes you greater distances, versus the oar. It's just really fast, but it's not going to get you too far unless you have like the endurance of a crazy person that can power their way through. Now, this analogy isn't like, obviously not flawless either. I'm not saying it's perfect. Because for the sea analogy, making a time analogy and including this is kind of hard, because sea is open. You can go kind of anywhere. You can be here or there. So time is a little bit hard to add to this analogy. I think it requires another analogy, which I also have prepared for a later video. And yeah, the sea reality doesn't really depict the slideshow of realities we pass through in our reality set. Reality sets or something in another video. And then, yeah, I'll elaborate these in analogies later. But these additional analogies just don't mesh with the visual I provide with just the sea. So that's just my idea on why reality is not a mirror. It just makes no sense, because otherwise a lot of things just wouldn't happen. The world would literally break. It would just literally break in half, because no one could be wrong and everyone's right. Like, you couldn't exist in someone else's like world. We'd all think the same. And so I just feel like we should, my version kind of improves upon this. I'm not saying it's perfect or it's like the one that we need to use forever. I'm just saying the mirror one, it needs to go because it's dumb. So this is my personal opinion on the manifestation community. Analogies, specifically the analogies. I just wanted to say that my analogy, obviously, I don't know everything. So if you have any other like life experiences or other ideas or other entire and different analogies that says mine is like completely wrong, like, please tell me. I would love to improve on this and just learn more about it, and just ultimately try to find out like the why, because we're all trying to answer the same question. We know manifestation works, but we don't really know why. How do we get there? And so if you have any contradicting ideas, something constructive, obviously if you're just gonna be a hater, then why are you here? But if you have any other ideas, then please go ahead and say them. And that's it. The next video is going to be the state of change. The state of change change. It's just something, it's kind of something I came up with, which is, it's just a small, it's just a small state where it just essentially says, why don't hallucinations manifest? Why does every belief not manifest? Why didn't I have unicorns growing up? I believed in unicorns when I was younger. Why didn't they manifest if I believed in them? Or whatever other things I believed in. Why aren't they there? And that's the state of change, and we're going to go over that in the next video. And I'll see you then. Cryptics out.